Hey group, welcome back to another enthralling edition of Online School with a little photo presentation. We just got done learning about composition, taking photos. Now we're going to move into portraits, which personally I love taking because I like interacting with people. Even though we can't get out and interact too much, hope we can find some family or some members of your household, people, animals, whatever it may be, to start shooting with. So portraits, we'll jump right in. With this, I'm just going to start out by saying sometimes it's okay to break the rules. So written on here, it says you're going to be taking portraits and they should be of animated objects. We're going to not get all sciencey on me and start taking pictures of plants, even though because they are living things, we are not considering those portraits. So they have to be animated. Those should include either people or animals. So you're going to set up some shots with someone either in your household, family, or a pet. You're going to set up, make sure they're good compositions, and then go to town. It should be fun, hopefully. Here, talking about breaking the rules. So we talked a lot about offsetting photos and don't necessarily put someone directly in the middle of a frame. These are going to be the times it's okay to break those rules. So here's a couple of lovely little photos from my wedding. Here on the right, so the photographer had me set up directly in the middle, which was fine. If you have a non-distracting background and not a lot going on, so the aperture is set where the background is blurry, it's non-distracting. It's also symmetrical. So pretty much what's going on the left side is happening on the right side, which will make this okay to break the rules and you don't necessarily have to offset that person. You do want to keep in mind that there's still a little bit of headroom. The eyes are still going along one of the lines for the rule of thirds. So you're still following some of the rules, even though you're breaking a couple others. Same deal on here. We are set up in the middle, although our heads are almost going through the lines, going vertically with the rule of thirds. And then my head, so I'm a little bit taller, is going along one of the lines for the rule of thirds. But even though we were placed in the middle, the background, the left and right side is pretty symmetrical and not very distracting. So those are times that you can break the rules and place your subject in the middle. Oh, last thing to keep in mind too is you'll typically do this when either the animal or person is looking straight on at you. If they are looking either to the left or right, then you probably want to move them in one of the intersections for the rule of thirds. All right, back to this lovely little photo. I did not take this photo. I found this one online, but just wanted to talk about a couple things that you're going to keep in mind while shooting portraits. So on here, just thinking about composition and fun, interesting angles. So the camera is tilted a little bit. Her head is at like a 45-degree angle. There are other objects in here. So this wheat or grain or whatever is in her mouth is going perpendicular to where her face is going. So you still have interesting lines on here. Her arms going behind her head are also following along this grain parallel. So there's a couple different geometric shapes going on here that keep the photo interesting. Second would be negative space that you want to think about. So having her arms wrapped up around pointing back to her face, you have that negative space that is in between her neck and arms, and on this side in between her face and her arms, which keeps the photo a little bit interesting as well. Last little thing to look at on here is going to be color, which we'll talk about a little bit more too. You have kind of fair skin and reddish hair, which are going to be considered more warm colors. And then you have the blue of what she's wearing and the blue of her eyes are going to be cool colors. So those are contrasting, meaning those are going to make one another pop out too. So you have a nice composition. You have nice lines on here, geometric lines, whether perpendicular or parallel to one another. You have negative space and color. And also zoomed in, filling the frame. Not a lot of space on the sides, so you're really focusing on the head, which is also offset into one of the intersections for the rule of thirds. So a lot going on, a lot of positives and interesting happening with this photo. So some little tips. Aperture. So aperture is like your eye, so it gets wider or smaller, like your pupil. And this is what is going to change the depth of field, whether you want the background to be a little bit blurry or not. So this is like in your iPhones and you have portrait mode, which makes the background blurry. Now, Some of you probably will not have a DSLR camera where you get to change yours, but you can change the settings in your cell phone. So if you go to portrait mode, you're going to make that background a little bit blurrier. But just to show you really what's happening, on here, this is measured in what's called an f-stop. So that's why there's a little F on here. So it says the smaller the f-stop, which is just, again, the aperture, the more blurred the background is going to be. So this small number, 1.4, you have a blurry background. And then up to F16, you have a non-blurry background. So this is a little bit confusing, but if you actually get into photography and start working with DSLRs, it's the smaller the number, so 1.4, is the smaller the depth of field. So you cannot see as far. That is why the background is blurry. This is what we want in our portrait photos. It's just gonna give the main focus more on the actual person or animal that you're shooting, and to get that background to be even more non-distracting if it's blurred out. So again, this is just another little way just to show what's going on, and this is kind of an imagery for it. So small number, this time it's f4, and then the larger number, which is f22. So this is what the aperture looks like. It's a little bit wider. So I kind of in my head try to think it is wider because it's really going to focus on what's in front of you on here, this little flower, and that makes the background very blurry. On here, it's a little bit smaller with the higher number. So the background is going to be a little more in focus. So even the leaves, and you can tell it's a river in the background and what's going on, where you can't necessarily really tell what's going on right here. So, but our goal on the left side here for portraits, get that person or animal in focus, get the background a little blurred out. And then here's a little tip what's going to happen with your shutter. Again, this is more so if you're using a DSLR camera. But so since the portrait will have the aperture at a wider opening, so there's the little picture with f4, the shutter speed is going to have to go a little bit faster. So know that the shot will be a little more kind of frozen in time. So again, because the shutter is a little bit wider, it's letting in more light. So the shutter is going to go quicker just to let less light in to make sure it's a proper exposure. So I always like these photos with the higher shutter speed, and you have it kind of be like portrait. So here's a little hummingbird that was up at my in-laws cabin that I was trying to shoot. So even the wings are going extremely fast. Now it looks like it's frozen in time. So you get that portrait, hummingbird in the feeders in focus, frozen in time. The background, even though you can tell it's a tree and kind of some grass there, is a little blurred out, so you can focus more on the animal or person depending on what you're shooting. A couple other things to think about. Your lighting and using the golden hour. So the golden hour is the hour before the sun goes down, and it's going to be the hour as the sun is rising. So the rays of the sun are not going to be very harsh. It's not going to make some kind of harsh shadows. And it can give you a nice little glow behind who you're shooting. I did not take these two photos, but as the sun is either going down or rising, you can see a little glow effect, kind of making like a little halo around here. And then here too, using even a sun flare as the sun is going down, creating that glow behind her head. So it gives some fun colors. You don't have harsh shadows. It's a really fun time to get out and shoot. Even if you look at the sky, you're going to get those really cool photos. With the color as well. And also these two photos are very nice, well composed. Her head, rule of thirds, she's looking to the left, which is the open spot. And then even getting that fun negative space with her arms in there. Same thing here. There's a fun little position that she is in. Her head is in the rule of thirds. Her arm is going some different ways, creating some negative space, which is kind of fun to look at too. Here are a couple more photos. Photos just to show different times of day. So it really depends on when you are out. So you can just see the kind of differences from how bright something is to when the sun is really going down, creating the little halo effects around the people, and then just the different colors that you get. So if you're going to go out during golden hour, which is a fantastic time to go out, just keep in mind exactly when you're going out. All right, next, color. So color is going to be really important with your photos depending on what your person is wearing, or say the color of the fur that your dog or cat have, and then compared to the background that they're up against. So you typically want to use contrasting colors, or on the color wheel, we think of complementary colors. So those are colors that are on opposite sides of the wheel. So first one I always like gravitate towards is red and green. And then I would usually ask the class, name something that is red and green, and then everyone says right away, Christmas. So Hallmark has kind of stolen red and green, given them to Christmas. So anytime you think of something red and green, you always think of Christmas. Second would be purple or violet, and then yellow on opposite sides of the color wheel. And then I always say, students, what two things do you think of? And then they would say the Vikings and then the CDH Raiders. So sports teams, businesses, companies, they will tend to use complementary colors because they work well together and they make one another stand out. So those colors look good on apparel, just products for merchandising, however they can make money. And then last on here is orange and blue as a complementary color. I just found one product that I looked up online for, and say that would be like Tide, like laundry detergent. So they have the blue and then the yellow and a little bit of orange for their background, which makes Tide stick out because of those two contrasting. So think about the colors and what you're wearing when you're shooting as well. And then here are a couple pictures just to kind of talk about what's going on. So first, composition and positioning. So talking about kind of breaking the rules. She is aligned directly in the center. It's actually kind of interesting to see her hands and her face, which are both fair skin tones, kind of leading and directly going straight up. Her eyes are going right along a rule of thirds line. And then I would either leave a little headspace or kind of cut off the top of the head when you're thinking about cropping and when you're shooting. And then looking at the color in the photo, again, her skin is pretty fair. She has reddish hair, so those are kind of warm colors. And then you think about the background and what she's wearing, this turquoisey, greenish blue kind of color are your cool tones in the background, what she's wearing. So they're making her hair, her eyes kind of pop out. So a lot going on there, but following a lot of the rules. Next, a lovely little parrot, or whatever type of bird this is. Same kind of deal. Looking at the composition, the bird is set kind of on the top left quarter, not exactly at the intersection, but say the majority of the head is at that intersection. The parrot is looking to the right. That's where your open space is. You have blue and this yellowish kind of orange, more yellow tone, complementing one another. So making those colors stick out, we're really focusing on the bird. And then also looking at some fun negative space, like in between the head, the beak, and the feathers here, just make something a little bit interesting with that composition there. All right, lastly, before looking at some examples, candid photos. So these are photos taken where either the subject doesn't know that they're going to be or have a picture taken of them, or they're at least going to pretend like they don't know what's going on. So basically, they're not posing for the camera. So I always looked at this photo in class asking students, do you think she knew a photo was being taken or not? So first you think about that, but look at the composition. Her camera, her head is set up in the upright intersection with rule of thirds. She is shooting or looking to the left. That is where the open space is. Her arms are set in an interesting way, leading back to her head and giving a little bit of negative space in there. And then the background is blurry. So you're really focusing on her and not focusing in on the background. And I would say here, I think this is a legit candid photo. So I look at the background, she's probably on the city street. She has a camera, maybe she's a tourist. She has got some breakfast and saw something she loved. Throw that right in her face, get the camera out, start shooting. She's probably got a friend here who is taking a picture of her while shooting. And then this is probably her friend. So I took these from the same website. Composition-wise, head set up in the upper left intersection, rule of thirds, looking to the right. That's where your open space is. The background is blurry, so you're focusing in on her. And then you look at this, and it's just, I think, an interesting photo. So I can see on the strap right here that she has a camera around her neck. So that's why I think she was with the last girl, going out and doing a little photo shoot with the two of those. But again, looking down, not paying attention, a nice candid shot. All right, and then here's just a couple student examples that were taken last year and earlier this year, just to show you what people were doing while going out and taking these portraits. Now, these are all actual people, but obviously you can substitute some animals in there. And then mostly too, these pictures are taken outside. If you can get outside and shoot, that's fantastic. If you're inside, try really hard to think about the background to have it be not too distracting. So couple nice shots. This one is set up in the middle, even though he's looking to the right, but the background is pretty symmetrical and blurred out. On the bottom here, did a really good job of setting up on the top right intersection of the rule of thirds, looking straight on. You have not too distracting lines and colors in the background. You're really focusing on her. And then this is a fun one where you can think about maybe if you have some plants at home or some bushes out in your front yard where you can actually really zoom in on them and you can't tell what's going on even further in the background. And then again, he's looking up and to the right. That's where the open space is, set in the lower left quadrant of the rule of thirds, which just leaves an interesting shot. Right. 2 more pages. Kind of the same stuff. So set up in the middle, a little bit of headspace on top. This one's interesting because there's light coming in from one side. So you get one side of her that's lit up and the other side that's a little bit dark. So something a little more interesting to look at. And then having the light spots in the background, the light shirt on, which is contrasting from dark glasses, dark hair, and dark background on the top right. Top right here, again, looking in to the right, and that's where the open space is. This is kind of set up half and half of flowers and then her head, but it's still an interesting shot to look at, and it's interesting what's going on. Bottom right, you can also play with reflections. That's just what so happens to be our Friday photo this week, reflections. So looking in here, it's through a window. It's kind of fun where this is her head and the reflection as she's taking the photo, and that's where his head is placed. So you can see a little more clearly where most of the reflections are happening above that. He's set up on the right side, so it's off-centered. He's looking to our left. That's where the open space is, so following all the rules there. Last, these are more so kind of some fashion shots. Up on the top left, again, with the arms going back there, creating negative space. Cutting the head off a little bit on top. So good composition, good choices here. And then because for darker hair tones and darker skin tones, it's interesting to see a very light top, which makes those two kind of pop out. And then the bottom left, just having her hand here, kind of touching the leaf on here, just gives it a little more something to look at. And if this was not there, maybe then you would place her face directly in the middle and have that non-distracting background in there. And then last on here, Blythe smiling. This is like a candid shot. I would have to assume that this photo was taken mid-laugh, or the people who were shooting were talking with one another, which is also another good little tip. Get to know who you're shooting, talk with one another. You can take some photos when they don't even necessarily know that you're shooting. But on here, nice spacing above the head, left and right. It's obviously just a white background, so it's very non-distracting. And then placed in the center, her eyes are still going over one of the lines for the rule of thirds. So good job following all the rules for all these photos. So your job is to get out there, find a person or people or animal, whatever you can at home or whatever's around you. Take a bunch of shots. You are eventually going to be turning in 5 of what you think the best photos are. And then we're going to sit down and do little critiques just like we did with composition. So hope you enjoy getting out there, find some people, shoot, think of all the rules that you're supposed to do, and have a good time. See you guys.